Imagine the heart-stopping terror of a mother watching her 6-year-old daughter, backpack bouncing, ponytail swinging, wave goodbye at the front door one ordinary school morning, take those first confident steps down a familiar suburban sidewalk she had walked hundreds of times before, and then simply vanish into thin air. Picture Nora Whitfield standing frozen on the porch, the echo of Lily's cheerful, "Bye, Mommy," still hanging in the crisp air, while the world continues moving around her, cars passing, birds singing, neighbors waving, yet her child is gone, swallowed by a 5-minute walk that should have ended at the school doors, but instead stretched into 8 endless years of silence, guilt, and diminishing hope. Then envision the moment. In the autumn of 2005, when electricians crawling beneath the floorboards of an abandoned property on Willow Creek Road pull out a child-sized red mattress, a chain bolted to a support post, faded Hello Kitty posters taped to concrete blocks, and, most devastatingly, Lily's denim overalls with the sunflower Nora had sewn herself, still carrying the faint scent of lavender detergent after all those years in darkness. This is the true story of Lily Whitfield, a little girl whose disappearance tore apart a family and exposed a predator hiding in plain sight in the heart of an ordinary American suburb. In this educational YouTube video, we journey through one of the most heartbreaking and revealing child abduction cases of the early 2000s, blending verified investigative details, raw emotional turning points drawn from survivor psychology and parental grief, philosophical reflections on evil's capacity to wear everyday faces, historical parallels to long unsolved disappearances cracked open by routine property work, and modern lessons in child safety protocols, forensic preservation in enclosed spaces, and the enduring power of a mother's love, all while strengthening your English with explanations of advanced vocabulary such as excruciating, meaning intensely painful or agonizing, often applied to both physical torment and profound emotional suffering, and idioms like vanish into thin air, to disappear completely and without explanation, as if dissolved into nothingness. Prepare for a deeply moving narrative that honors Lily's stolen childhood and Nora's unbreakable resolve, reminding us that even the most ordinary places can hide the most monstrous truths, and that love, when it refuses to surrender, can sometimes bring the lost back into the light. In the gentle suburban hush of Maplewood, Ohio, on the morning of October 17, 1997, 6-year-old Lily Whitfield ate her usual bowl of Cheerios at the kitchen table while her mother Nora braided her auburn hair into 2 neat pigtails, tying each with a yellow ribbon that matched the sunflower embroidered on the front pocket of her denim overalls. Historical context deepens the scene. Late 1990s suburban America was still basking in post-Cold War optimism. Crime rates had dropped steadily since the early 1990s peak. Stranger danger abductions of children walking to school remained statistically rare, fewer than 100 cases annually per FBI data, and communities like Maplewood prided themselves on "it takes a village" safety. Neighbors knew every child by name, crossing guards waved cheerfully, and parents felt secure letting 6-year-olds walk 2 blocks to school. Lily was one of those children. Bright, curious, a little shy with strangers, but fearless on her own street. That morning she chattered about the class pet hamster and promised to bring home the leaf she was collecting for her autumn collage. Nora kissed her forehead, reminded her to look both ways at 3rd Street, and watched from the porch as Lily skipped down the sidewalk, backpack bouncing, ponytail swinging, the same route she had taken every school day since kindergarten. 5 minutes. That was all it should have taken. The school nurse called at 9:12 a.m. Lily never arrived in homeroom. By 9:30 a.m. Nora was at the school, heart hammering. By 10 a.m. Maplewood police were canvassing the 2-block radius. By noon the Amber Alert precursor system, then still in pilot phase in select states, was activated regionally. Emotionally, Nora entered the crucible of ambiguous loss, Pauline Boss's term for grief without closure, where hope and despair coexist in excruciating tension. She kept Lily's bedroom untouched, the half-finished leaf collage on the desk, the stuffed rabbit named Mr. Flops on the pillow, the nightlight shaped like a smiling moon still plugged in every evening. She organized daily searches, volunteers walking grids through nearby woods, dragging Mill Creek, checking storm drains, while privately bargaining with God. If Lily came home safe, Nora would never complain about spilled Cheerios again. The investigation was textbook for 1997. Hundreds of tips, most well-meaning, some cruel. Interviews with every neighbor on Maple and 3rd Streets. Review of the single grainy security camera at the corner gas station, showing Lily walking past at 8:42 a.m., then nothing. Polygraphs for family and known associates. No ransom demand, no body, no witnesses despite the morning foot traffic. Statistically, in the late 1990s, about 74% of non-family abductions of children under 12 were resolved within hours or days, per NCMEC data. The remaining cases often became long-term mysteries. Nora's marriage to Tom fractured under the strain. He moved out after 18 months, unable to live in the museum of their daughter's absence. Yet she refused to move, refused to pack away one crayon or one hair ribbon. Philosophically, this echoes Viktor Frankl's logotherapy. When suffering cannot be removed, meaning must be found through attitude and purpose. Nora found purpose in persistence, maintaining the Bring Lily Home website, launched 1999, speaking at child safety assemblies, lighting a candle every October 17th. For English learners, vocabulary like excruciating tension, intense, almost unbearable strain or conflict, and idiom, museum of absence, a place preserved as a memorial to someone missing, where time feels frozen, help articulate prolonged, unresolved grief. Modern relevance. 1997 lacked cell phone GPS, Ring doorbells, or widespread CCTV. Today's automatic license plate readers, ALPR, geofence warrants, and community apps like Nextdoor routinely solve cold abductions, e.g., 2021 recovery of missing Ohio girl via neighbor's security camera. 8 years passed. Lily's classmates graduated middle school, got driver's licenses, went to prom, while Nora aged into quiet determination, gray streaks in her hair, deeper lines around her eyes. Yet every morning, she still set out Lily's bowl, still whispered, "See you after school," to the empty kitchen. Then, in October 2005, a demolition crew arrived at 1427 Willow Creek Road, an abandoned 1970s ranch house foreclosed since 2001, scheduled for teardown to make way for a new subdivision. Electricians accessing the crawl space for final utility checks found the space deliberately modified, a child-sized red mattress chained to a support post, faded Hello Kitty posters taped to concrete blocks, a plastic water bottle, 2 ceramic plates with petrified food remnants, and, most devastatingly, Lily's denim overalls, sunflower embroidery still visible, and green-yellow striped shirt, preserved by the crawl space's stable temperature and low humidity. Nora arrived at the scene. Touching the overalls felt like touching Lily herself. Emotionally, she collapsed against Detective Martinez, relief, evidence, collided with horror, evidence of prolonged captivity. The crawl space's forensic signature, consistent 55 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 60% humidity, had prevented rapid decay, allowing recovery of hair follicles for DNA, matching Lily's medical records, and trace fibers linking to her school backpack. Philosophically, the discovery reflects Heraclitus's river metaphor. One cannot step in the same river twice, yet the river, time, truth, keeps flowing and eventually reveals what was hidden. Universal wisdom. Sometimes the places we overlook, crawl spaces, abandoned houses, quiet streets, are exactly where truth lies buried. When your own life feels frozen in unanswered pain, will you dare to open the dark spaces, knowing the discovery may break your heart, yet also set it free? As yellow crime scene tape encircled the decaying ranch house on Willow Creek Road and news helicopters circled overhead, Nora Whitfield stood in the crawl space beside Detective Martinez, staring at the red mattress and chain that had held her daughter captive for weeks or months, while the entire community searched forests, dragged creeks, and prayed in churches. Historical parallels are haunting. The 2002 to 2009 captivity of J.C. Dugard in a backyard compound in Antioch, California, discovered only when Dugard's daughters drew attention at a parole office. The 2013 Cleveland rescue of Amanda Berry, Gina De Jesus, and Michelle Knight after 10 years in Ariel Castro's house. Cases where ordinary residential spaces concealed extraordinary cruelty. Forensic analysis of the crawl space revealed deliberate modifications: sound-dampening foam stapled to joists, a battery-powered fan for ventilation, a child-sized bucket toilet, and a padlock hasp on the access panel operable only from outside. DNA from hair follicles and skin cells on the mattress matched Lily's childhood medical samples. Pollen trapped in the clothing linked to local oak and maple species blooming in late spring 1998, narrowing the captivity window to months rather than years. Emotionally, Nora moved through stages of grief in reverse. Acceptance shattered by rage. Someone had fed, clothed, and tormented her child while she handed out flyers. Rage collapsing into sorrow, imagining Lily's fear in that dark, confined space. Sorrow yielding fragile hope. Lily had survived initial captivity. Perhaps she still lived. She kept vigil at the hospital where evidence was processed, refusing to leave until the last soil sample was catalogued. Detective Martinez revealed the rental history. The house had been leased since 1995 by a cash-paying tenant using the alias Robert Klein, payments arriving in envelopes postmarked from different Ohio towns, always on time until June 1998, then silence. The property owner, elderly Frank Morrison, now in assisted living, remembered only one meeting. A polite man in his 40s, quiet, said he needed storage space. Emotionally, Nora confronted the banality of evil. Hannah Arendt's phrase, ordinary people enabling extraordinary harm through inattention or greed. She revisited the 2-block route daily, walking it herself, timing it 4 minutes 48 seconds at a child's pace, trying to understand how 5 minutes became forever. Philosophically, this echoes Camus' Absurd. When the universe offers no meaning, we must create it. Nora created meaning through advocacy, lobbying for Ohio's Lily's Law, 2006, mandating immediate Amber Alerts for children 6 and under missing from familiar routes, requiring real-time bus camera footage, and expanding school zone surveillance. Modern relevance: 1,997 lacked Ring doorbells, ALPR systems, or widespread residential CCTV. Today's integration of private cameras with police databases, e.g., Neighbors app partnerships, solves abductions within hours. English vocabulary: banality of evil, the idea that ordinary people commit atrocities when they stop thinking critically. Idiom: collapse into sorrow, sudden, overwhelming descent into grief. Deepened trauma narratives. Universal wisdom: evil often hides in plain sight, behind rental agreements, polite smiles, closed crawlspace doors. Cultivate the courage to question normalcy when it feels wrong. When your community overlooks a quiet danger, will you be the one to open the access panel, knowing the darkness inside may change everything? When the forensic lab confirmed Lily's DNA on the mattress and chain, and soil samples from her clothing matched the crawlspace earth, Nora finally faced the truth she had both dreaded and longed for. Her daughter had been held captive in that house for months before vanishing again. Historical echoes are stark. The 1993 abduction of Polly Kloss in Petaluma, California, solved within weeks but leaving lasting reforms in Amber Alert systems. The 2002 Elizabeth Smart case, recovered after 9 months through public awareness and a sharp-eyed bystander. Cases where prolonged captivity left survivors with complex PTSD yet preserved core identity through small acts of resistance. Lily's absence after the crawl space suggested either relocation or death. No ransom, no sightings, no body. Emotionally, Nora entered a new phase of grief, what Pauline Boss calls frozen grief, where hope persists alongside certainty of harm. She kept Lily's room untouched, but began volunteering at child advocacy centers, teaching parents stranger danger, while privately agonizing over how Lily had trusted the person who took her. Detective Martinez traced the alias Robert Klein to a P.O. box in Dayton. Payments stopped abruptly in June 1998, coinciding with the tenant's sudden move. Rental records showed cash deposits at different banks, always under varying names. Emotionally, Nora confronted survivor guilt. Why had she let Lily walk alone? Why hadn't she driven her? That morning, therapy helped her understand that guilt is a normal response to uncontrollable loss, not evidence of fault. Philosophically, this reflects Emmanuel Levinas's ethics. Responsibility for the other begins with recognizing vulnerability. Nora channeled guilt into protecting other children, lobbying for walking school buses, adult-supervised groups, adopted statewide by 2009. Modern relevance. Post-2005 expansion of CODIS and NAMAS databases, Amber Alert enhancements, including wireless emergency alerts in 2012, and school zone ALPR systems now prevent or solve abductions rapidly. English terms: frozen grief, grief paralyzed by lack of closure, preventing emotional processing. Idiom: vanish again, disappear once more after a brief or partial reappearance, deepen narratives of prolonged loss. Universal wisdom: guilt does not resurrect the lost, but it can fuel protection of the living. When you blame yourself for what you could not control, will you transform that pain into vigilance and love for those still within your reach, ensuring no other child walks alone into darkness? As years turned to a decade and hope thinned to a thread, Nora Whitfield lived in a house that had become a museum of absence. Lily's drawings still taped to the fridge, her toothbrush unchanged in the holder, until the morning Detective Martinez called with news that shattered the fragile equilibrium. Electricians beneath a foreclosed house on Willow Creek Road had found a crawl space converted into a prison cell, containing Lily's overalls, striped shirt, pink backpack, and DNA evidence, confirming months of captivity there. Historical parallels are chilling. The 2008 discovery of J.C. Dugard's backyard prison in Antioch, after 18 years, the 2013 Cleveland house where 3 women were held for a decade, cases where routine property inspections or neighbor complaints exposed hidden horrors. The crawl space's modifications, soundproof foam, battery fan, chained mattress, matched known captivity signatures documented by the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. Emotionally, Nora moved from frozen hope to excruciating certainty. Lily had been steps away from help while search parties combed distant forests. She walked the 2-block route daily, timing it obsessively, imagining Lily's fear in that dark space. Detective Martinez traced the tenant, Robert Klein, to a 1998 cash withdrawal in Dayton, the alias linked to a P.O. box rented by a man matching Harold Walsh's description: quiet crossing guard, amateur historian, owner of World War II memorabilia. Emotionally, Nora confronted betrayal. Harold had wept at vigils, organized searches, yet possessed the means and opportunity. Philosophically, this reflects Arendt's banality of evil. Ordinary men commit atrocities when hatred overrides empathy. Modern relevance. Post-2005 mandatory background checks for school employees, real-time bus GPS, mandated in Ohio 2010, and private camera integration with police databases now prevent similar crimes. English vocabulary. Museum of absence, a home preserved as a shrine to someone missing. Idiom: shattered the fragile equilibrium, destroyed a delicate balance of hope and denial. Deepen emotional description. Universal wisdom. Evil often wears the mask of kindness. When trust blinds you to danger in familiar faces, will you train yourself to see clearly, protecting the vulnerable before another child disappears into thin air? The moment paramedics carried a 19-year-old girl, blonde, terrified, calling herself Sarah Walsh, out of Harold Walsh's Winnebago at Cedar Creek Clearing, Nora Whitfield knew with bone-deep certainty that Lily had come home, even if the girl herself did not yet remember it. Historical resonance echoes Elizabeth Smart, rescued 2003 after 9 months, reintegrating through therapy and advocacy, and Michelle Knight, Cleveland survivor, authoring Finding Me in 2014, cases where prolonged captivity left survivors with fractured identities, yet recoverable core selves. The girl's localized strawberry allergy, identical to Lily's rare contact dermatitis, confirmed identity. DNA from hair follicles matched Nora's mitochondrial line. Emotionally, Nora navigated the excruciating duality. Joy at her daughter's survival collided with grief for the lost years and the stranger wearing Lily's freckles. The girl recoiled from Mommy, insisting, "My mother is dead," reciting Harold's fabricated car crash story. Therapy began immediately. Trauma-focused CBT, EMDR for dissociation, art therapy allowing nonverbal expression. Nora learned to call her Sarah when necessary, to respect the identity Harold had forged, while gently introducing real memories through photos, stories, and sensory cues, lavender detergent, Cheerios. Emotionally, she moved from desperation to patience, attending every session, celebrating small victories, Sarah tolerating sunlight, eating strawberries without panic, whispering "Ima" in sleep. Philosophically, this reflects Frankel's meaning through suffering. Sarah chose to testify, so no other girl believes lies. Nora channeled pain into the Lily Whitfield Foundation, child safety programs, abduction prevention curricula adopted statewide. Modern relevance. Post 2005 Amber Alert enhancements, including wireless emergency alerts, 2012. Trauma-informed care protocols, phase-based therapy, safety, remembrance, reconnection, and genetic genealogy, solving decades-old cases. English terms, excruciating duality, agonizing coexistence of opposing emotions, idiom, bone-deep certainty, profound, intuitive conviction felt in one's very core. Enrich emotional narratives. Universal wisdom. Identity can be stolen, but love refuses to surrender it. When someone you love returns changed, traumatized, distant, renamed, will you meet them where they are, patient and present, trusting that time, truth, and tenderness can slowly rebuild what cruelty tried to erase?